Okay, so what we just saw with the journeys of the Israelites, that's the beginning of the second of today's Torah portions. So this, what we're going to cover is all in Torah portion Masei from here on out. Numbers 33 says, Yehovah spoke to Moshe in the desert plains of Moab by the Jordan of Jericho, saying, so helps to imagine the scene. Moshe is meeting with Yehovah in the tent of meeting. That's where he meets with him. That's where he hears his voice from. Speak to the children of Israel. Say to them, when you have passed over the Jordan into the land of Canaan, then you shall drive out all the inhabitants of the land from before you, and shall destroy all their engraved stones, and shall destroy all their molded images, and lay waste all their high places. And you shall possess the land and dwell in it, for I have given you the land to possess. And you shall divide the land by lot as an inheritance among your clans. To the larger you give a larger inheritance, and to the smaller you give a smaller inheritance. Wherever the lot falls to anyone, that is his. You inherit according to the tribes of your fathers. Okay, so each tribe is going to inherit according to the lot. We read elsewhere in Scripture that the decision of the lot comes from Yehovah. So this is Yehovah saying, you're going to divide the land by tribe, and I am going to show you which land belongs to which people. I'll do that by the method of the lot. Numbers 34, 1-2. Yehovah spoke to Moshe, saying, command the children of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land of Canaan, this is the land which falls to you as an inheritance, the land of Canaan, to its boundaries. So we saw him say it's going to be divided by lot in Numbers 33. Beginning of Numbers 34, we're seeing this happen. In Genesis 12, verse 7, we read Yehovah saying to Avram, to your seed I give this land. So this was the promise that he made to them. And now what we're seeing with them coming into the land is the fulfillment of the promise. Of course, we know that Avram's seed are reckoned as those who are like Abraham. Okay, they are those who are Christ's are Avram's seed. So we also are Avram's seed. These people, as they were going into the land, okay, they probably thought, well, this is it. This land is ours forever. But we know because of their disobedience, they were driven out into the nations. And now we, as Avram's seed, will inherit the land in the future. So we go all the way back to this promise to Avram. To your seed, I give this land. Leviticus 25:23, it says, the land is not to be sold beyond reclaim, Yehovah telling Moshe, for the land is mine. So he's saying, I'm going to give you this thing which is mine. We've looked recently at the idea of what is set apart is Yehovah's, and he gives that set apart thing to other people. Here he says, the land is mine, I have given it to you, but you're not to sell it beyond reclaim because it's mine. I've given it to you, it's set apart to me, it's the holy land of Israel, but I've given it to you for your use. In Numbers 3 verse 12 it says, now look, I myself have taken the Levites from among the children of Israel. It says the Levites or the Levites shall be mine. Okay, they're holy unto Yehovah. But he says here to Aaron, I've given the Levites as a gift to you. Just like he's giving the land to the children of Israel, even though it's his, they're not to do whatever they want with it because it's his. It's the same here with the Levites. They're holy unto Yehovah for his purposes, but he gives them to Aaron. Isaiah 30 verse 1. Woe to the stubborn children, declares Yehovah, to make counsel, but not from me, to devise plans, but not of my spirit. So his spirit obviously belongs to him. Luke 9 verse 13 speaks of the Spirit as one being holy, Jehovah's, it's holy. Also, 2, of being given. So those things which are his, that are set apart to him, he tells us how to appropriate them, what to do with those things. So the Holy Spirit is given. Leviticus 23, we read that the appointed times are Jehovah's. They're his appointed times. But he tells us what to do with them. He gives us them as a gift. We read in Exodus 16:29, Jehovah has given you the Sabbath. He tells us what to do with the Sabbath because it's his, and he's able to tell us what to do with it. In Exodus 24, verse 12, it says, Jehovah said to Moshe, come up to me on the mountain and be there while I give you tablets of stone. I give you the tablets of stone. I give you the Torah. I give you the command which I've written to teach them. The Torah, the word, is Jehovah's. He gives it to us and he tells us what to do with it. Of course, we know that the word is holy, is good, is set apart. Deuteronomy 4, 5-8, we read, see, I have taught you laws and judgments as Jehovah my Elohim commanded me, to do thus in the land which you go to possess. You shall cherish and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding before the eyes of the peoples who hear all these laws, and they shall say, only a wise and understanding people is this great nation. They've been given these things which are mine. I've given you my word, and before the eyes of the people, you will be seen to be a wise people if you appropriate what I've given you in the correct way. For what great nation is there which has Elohim so near to it as Jehovah, our Elohim, is to us whenever we call on him? And what great nation is there that has such laws and righteous judgments like all this Torah, which he's given to us? And it's amazing to me that Jehovah has given us this, which is his. It very much strikes me like a father training up a son in his business, let's say. Like a carpenter teaching his son how to do carpentry, and the skills are passed down to continue the family legacy, if you like. And the Torah is very much like that for us. Listen to me, my people, and give ear to me, O my nation, for the Torah goes forth from me, and my judgment I set as a light to the peoples. He's given these things to us as a gift so that before other people, they'll see the things that we do, and they will give glory to him. My righteousness is near, my deliverance shall go forth, my arms judge peoples, coastlands wait upon me, and for my arm they wait expectantly. Lift up your eyes to the heavens and look on the earth beneath, for the heavens shall vanish like smoke, and the earth wear out like a garment. Those who dwell in it die as gnats, but my deliverance or my salvation is forever, and my righteousness is not broken. That will endure. That's the fireproof thing which is going to endure past the end, if you like, of the heavens and the earth. Listen to me, you who know righteousness, a people in whose heart is my Torah. Do not fear the reproach of men, nor be afraid of their revilings. For a moth eats them like a garment, and a worm eats them like wool. But my righteousness is forever. My deliverance to all generations, it will not be shaken. So he's given us this incredible gift which we're to treat with reverence and awe. This thing by which we will make ourselves unable to be shaken or unable to be moved, which is our wisdom before people that he's trained us up in. Arise, shine, for your light has come. The esteem of Jehovah has risen upon you. For look, darkness covers the earth, and thick darkness the peoples. But Jehovah arises over you, and his esteem is seen upon you. Of course, when we do his word, we are a light to the nations. Isaiah 62 is talking about Jerusalem in the millennial kingdom, when his people will be established as his people before the peoples of the earth. The Gentiles shall come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your rising. Lift up your eyes all around and see, all of them have gathered. They have come to you. Your sons come from afar. Your daughters are supported on the side. Then you shall see and be bright. Your heart shall throb and swell. For the wealth of the sea is turned to you. The riches of the Gentiles come to you. A stream of camels cover your land. The dromedaries of Midian and Ephah. All those from Shavah come bearing gold and incense and proclaiming the praises of Yehovah, because he's given us this gift. He's given us this incredibly valuable thing. It's the opposite of that attitude of, oh, he's beholden to my caprices. I'm going to be honored by him because I've decided to turn and do his Torah. We recognize what the Torah is. It's this incredible gift that will bring all of this good on the earth, and we as his children are raised up in his ways. You are the light of the world. It is impossible for a city to be hidden on a mountain. Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it shines to all those in the house if we appropriate his gift properly. Let your light so shine before men so that they see your good works and praise your Father who is in the heavens. Colossians 1. That is also why we, from the day we heard, have not ceased praying for you and asking that you be filled with the knowledge of his desire in all wisdom and spiritual understanding, to walk worthily of the Master, pleasing all, bearing fruit in every good work, and increasing in the knowledge of Elohim, this incredible gift, being empowered with all power according to the might of his esteem. This is what he's given us access to. This is what those who have faith in him and recognize what it is flock towards, that they desire. They're desperate for it. They're not thinking, oh, maybe I'll take part in that at some point in the future. If that's your mindset, it means that you've not understood what it is that you don't have faith in him, as faith is described in the scriptures. Giving thanks to the Father who made us fit to share in the inheritance of the set-apart ones in the light. Giving thanks to him, being grateful for this amazing thing. Who has delivered us from the authority of darkness, the power of death, and transferred us into the kingdom of the Son of his love, in whom we have redemption through his blood, the forgiveness of sins, who is the likeness of the invisible Elohim, the firstborn of all creation. Of course, he was the Son. He is the likeness of the invisible Elohim. He was his word, which is Yehovah, his word made flesh, and we are to be similar. We know that all matters work together for good for those who love Elohim, to those who are called according to his purpose, because those whom he knew beforehand, he also ordained beforehand to be conformed to the likeness of his Son, who is conformed to his likeness. So we are conformed to the likeness of Elohim. Hebrews 1:1-3, Elohim, having spoken in many portions and many ways to the fathers by the prophets, has in the last days spoken to us by the Son, whom he appointed heir of all, through whom also he made the ages, through the Son. How is it through the Son he made the ages? All things were founded upon him. Well, he's the Word. All things were made through the Word. The Son is the Word made flesh. Who being the brightness of the esteem and the exact image of his nature, and sustaining all by the word of his power. 1 John 2:3-6. By this we know that we know him, if we cherish his commands. If we're just like, oh yeah, those commands, I'll do those in the future. It's probably important for me to do that. No, we know that we know him if we cherish his commands. The one who says, I know him, and does not cherish his commands is a liar, and the truth is not in him. And that is as cast iron as it gets. It doesn't matter whether you say that you know him, but you don't cherish his commands, and you want to be his, you want to know him. The word says you don't know him. The truth is not in you. Whoever cherishes his word, truly the love of Elohim has been perfected in him. By this, we know that we are in him. The one who says he abides in him ought himself to walk even as he walked. He's not a Yehovah's beholden to my caprices. When I decide to do the works of the Torah, then I will be saved. Nothing like that. The one who says he abides in him ought himself to walk even as he walked. How did he walk? He was the exact image of Yah's nature. Examine yourselves whether you are in the belief, because we can do it. People want to know, am I in the faith? Have I made it? Well, nobody knows whether ultimately they are going to make it, but each one of us can look right now and say whether or not we are failing right now. That is a cast iron guarantee. You can know that absolutely. You can know that you're not in the belief. Nobody knows what's going to happen in the future, whether we'll turn aside from Yehovah, but we can know when we look at ourselves, wow, right now I've failed. I'm not making it. Examine yourselves whether you are in the belief. Prove yourselves, or do you not know yourselves that Yeshua Messiah is in you, unless you are disapproved? You would know that he's in you. You can't tell what's going to happen in the future, whether you're going to go astray from him, but you know whether he's in you right now, whether you abide in him right now. Numbers 34:13-15 says, Moshe commanded the children of Israel, saying, this is the land which you inherit by lot, which Yehovah has commanded to give to the 9 tribes and to the half tribe. So 2.5 tribes on one side, the other 9.5 tribes on the other. Here they're told, this land will be divided by lot. For the tribe of the children of Reuben, according to the house of their fathers, and the tribe of the children of Gad, according to the house of their fathers, have received their inheritance. The half tribe of Manasseh has received its inheritance. So Yehovah tells them that was their inheritance, that thing that they wanted. That Moses looked at them and he said, Are you trying to turn their hearts away from Yehovah? Moses misunderstood what they were doing. Yehovah approves what they were doing. The 2 tribes and the half tribe have received their inheritance beyond the Jordan of Jericho, eastward toward the sunrise. In Ezekiel 47, which is all about the millennial kingdom after Yeshua has returned, we're told that the land will be divided in a similar way. It was divided by lot to them. We're told in the future this will happen. You shall divide this land among yourselves according to the tribes of Israel. And it shall be you divide it by lot as an inheritance for yourselves and for the strangers who sojourn in your midst and who bear children among you. And they shall be to you as native born among the children of Israel. With you, they have an inheritance in the midst of the tribes of Israel. That's the future. So when they went into the land, what happened to them is the same as what will happen to us. We will divide the land by lot also. Numbers 35, 1-2 says, Yehovah spoke to Moshe in the desert plains of Moab. Again, this is from the Torah portion. By the Jordan of Jericho, saying, command the children of Israel that they shall give the Levites cities to dwell in from the inheritance of their possession. Also give the Levites open land around the cities. So from your possession you give to the Levites. Numbers 35:6 says, the cities which you give to the Levites are the 6 cities of refuge. These cities have been promised to them before, that the one who kills somebody accidentally will have somewhere to flee to give to him who killed someone to flee to. And to these you add 42 cities. So they've been told beforehand, I'm going to give you these cities. These are the cities of refuge. You'll have it when you go to the land. Here we're being told about these cities. In Genesis 49 verse 7, we see the necessity for these cities, or rather, in fact, we see that the Levites will be scattered amongst Israel. It says, cursed be their displeasure, for it is fierce, talking about Simeon and Levi, and their wrath, for it is cruel. I divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel. So Levi and Simeon were to be scattered. Okay, this was a result of bad behavior on Levi's part. I'm going to scatter them in Israel. The Levites are going to be scattered among Israel. This is the result of them doing something bad. And yet we just read, all matters work together for good. So it works out for the good of the children of Israel that they have the Levites scattered among them to teach them the Torah. Yahovah spoke to Moshe, saying, Numbers 35, Yahovah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Israel, say to them, when you pass over the Jordan into the land of Canaan, then you shall choose cities to be cities of refuge for you among the Levite cities, that the one who accidentally killed someone shall flee there. And they shall be cities of refuge for you from the revenger. The one who killed someone is not to die until he stands before the congregation in judgment. So if somebody killed somebody, there would have to be a trial, I suppose. We would phrase it as the revenger of blood would be able to kill somebody. Somebody who was saying, this was an accident that I killed them, would go to a city of refuge, and then they would have a trial, and whether or not they had murdered them or whether or not it was an accident would be brought out. If it was an accident, they would remain in the city of refuge until the death of the high priest. Of the cities which you give, 6 are to be cities of refuge, of the cities of the Levites. Give 3 cities beyond the Jordan and 3 cities in the land of Canaan. So Gad, Reuben, Manasseh were on one side of the Jordan. 3 of their cities were to be cities of refuge. And of the 9.5 tribes on the other side, 3 of their cities were also. The need for it is explained in Genesis 9. But only your blood for your lives I require. From the hand of every beast I require it, and from the hand of man. So if a beast gored somebody to death, the beast would be put to death. From the hand of every man's brother I require the life of man. Whoever sheds man's blood, by man his blood is shed. This is where the idea of the revenger of blood comes to be, that atonement would be made for the land because blood shed in the land would defile it. In the case that somebody has killed somebody by accident, they have to stay in the city of refuge because otherwise this would be the operating principle. Exodus 22:12-14, he who strikes a man so that he dies shall certainly be put to death. But if he did not lie in wait, but Elohim delivered him into his hand, then I shall appoint for you a place where he is to flee. But when a man acts presumptuously against this neighbor to kill him by treachery, you are to take him even from my altar to die. It's the death penalty. So they were told right back in Exodus when they were at Mount Sinai, the first generation, if somebody did not lie in wait for somebody, it wasn't an intentional murder, I shall appoint you a place where he is to flee. Now what we're seeing in the second generation is the appointment of these places of refuge where they could flee to. And he says, if somebody acts presumptuously against this neighbor to kill him, it was an intentional murder, then he is to be put to death. Luke 12:47-48, interesting to consider in this context. It says, that servant who knew his master's will and did not prepare, nor did according to his will, shall be beaten with many stripes. But he who did not know, but did what deserved flogging, shall be beaten with few stripes. When we consider with murder, the person who did not know and yet committed the killing of somebody, they don't go scot-free. They have to go to the city of refuge and stay there until the death of the high priest. So somebody who's murdered somebody will have the punishment of murder. They will be put to death. But he who didn't know but did what deserves death, like the unintentional killer, shall be beaten with few stripes. He has to dwell in the city of refuge. So this is where those cities were at least thought to be. I think they are actually listed in the book of Joshua. This is where those places were thought to be in the land. 3 on one side of the Jordan and 3 on the other. Numbers 35:33-34. So from this Torah portion, that is explained with, Do not profane the land where you are, for blood profanes the land. The land is not pardoned for the blood that is shed on it, except by the blood of him who sheds it. So this principle is reiterated to them to explain this is why you need these cities of refuge. This is why somebody can kill somebody who has shed blood, the revenger of blood. Do not defile the land which you inhabit, in the midst of which I dwell, for I, Yehovah, am dwelling in the midst of the children of Israel. So the land would have to have atonement made for it by the blood of him who shed the blood. The grace that he gives is the cities of refuge for somebody who has shed blood by accident. The Torah portion ends with an account of the daughters of Zelophehad that Charlie went through last week. Essentially what we're told is that they must remain within their tribe. They must only marry within their tribe so that the inheritance passes down to their tribe, regardless of what Charlie went through last week. That principle is correct. That's what Yehovah said. But in order for the inheritance to remain in their tribe, they would have to marry within their tribe. Shall we pray? Father, I thank you for your grace, and I thank you for the reminders in your word of how incredible it is that we've been forgiven. I pray for anyone who doesn't fully appreciate what it is that you've done and how amazingly compassionate and patient you are, that you would you'd help them to understand, that you would be merciful and patient with them, and that you would help them to see the error of their ways and draw them to you. I thank you for your Torah and for the amazing gift that it is to us, and that through that we get to be a light to other people, and your blessings come upon us. Thank you, Father. Amen.